So this is a discussion of the Derya TM22 semi-automatic rifle and what's collectively known as the buffer tube issue or bolt stopper issue or bent or broken charging handle issue. And this is a particular issue on the newer models that have the AR buffer style stock, not the clubfoot style stock. So just to look inside the gun for a second, I've taken most of the internals out, but so this here is the bolt stopper, and its function is to, obviously, when the round detonates, the bolt travels back, hits it, and then picks up the next round and continues on its way. But when the bolt stopper is in correct position, there is sufficient gap at the end of the receiver cutout so that the charging handle doesn't hit the back of the receiver. The problem is, if that bolt stopper moves out of position, even by a little bit, now the bolt, of course, can go too far back and hit against the back of the receiver, gouging the back of the receiver, bending your charging handle, and even breaking it. So if you're getting a bent or broken charging handle, there's nothing wrong with the charging handle. The problem is your bolt stopper has moved. That's the proper position, and of course that's not right. So what's causing that bolt stopper to move out of position? Well, the problem, of course, is the new style AR buffer tube. This bolt stopper, oddly enough, and unfortunately, fits inside there. And you don't want that to happen. And the only thing in between that thin, sharp, large hollow space and the bolt stopper is this rubber pad, the bolt stopper rubber, and that's how it sits inside the gun. And of course, this bolt stopper is getting hit with tremendous force with each detonation, getting pushed back against that rubber stopper, and these sharp, thin edges over time, break this little rubber disc into little pieces, and it gets stuffed down inside, gets pushed in there, and that allows your bolt stopper to work its way in there a little bit. It doesn't have to go in very much. You don't have that much tolerance here at the back. It doesn't have to go back too much into the back of the buffer tube before you're going to start making contact. So the fix for that, of course, is to put something, anything really, hard and tough in between this rubber stopper and the buffer tube. So oddly enough, a toonie fits down in there really well. I find that a good quality steel washer works better. So you've got your bolt stopper, your rubber disc, a good 1-inch diameter washer, just to show you, that doesn't, that can't go inside the buffer tube. It gives enough protection. So you got your bolt stopper, your rubber, a washer, and that's how it's going to sit inside the gun. And that can shoot all day long forever, and that bolt stopper should not ever go inside the buffer tube unless this washer ever got broken. But if you use a good solid steel washer, you should be fine. Sometimes you might want to use 2 washers if you want to have extra support. You can do that. Some people have been sticking a solid wooden dowel down there and then screwing a washer into the end of the dowel. That works too. Pretty much anything that sits in between that bolt stopper and that buffer tube is what you need. So it's a simple matter of removing your buffer tube, taking your bolt stopper out. It's better to remove the top as well, because you might need to to get the bolt stopper out, you might need to push on it from this side a little bit to get it out. So take the bolt stopper out, check your rubber. If it's garbage, any piece of rubber will work. Even a decent plumbing washer that fits will work. So put your bolt stopper in. Put your bolt stopper in. Put your rubber disc back in there. Put your washer in there, nice and good. And then screw your buffer tube back on, nice and snug, of course, so it's tight against that washer. So there's no gap in between there. You don't want any space in between that washer and the edges of your buffer tube. You may have to put a couple washers in there or an extra piece of rubber just to get the indexing right, so that when you turn your buffer tube on, it ends up in the downward position and still pretty snug. So that's why that problem happens, and that's the fix. Just make sure you've got your bolt stopper, the original rubber or another piece of rubber, a good steel washer or a couple steel washers, and then put your buffer tube back on, and you're good to go. It's a simple fix, an unfortunately necessary fix, until they come up with something more permanent or a slight redesign on future models. But that's what you need to do. I hope that's helpful, and enjoy your Derya TM22 and happy shooting.